main problem here is we need to separate addiction from mental illness. And I think that there's a lot of people out here that have mental illness and that they should be in a place getting mental health issues dealt with. Not necessarily out here on the street.
So here we are in Baltimore City. What's your name?
My name is Andrew Pylypczuk.
Andrew, are you homeless?
Yes, sir. I am homeless. I've been out here now for about off and on 7-8 months.
7-8 months. So tell me your story, man. How'd you get here?
My story started, I got out of prison on 2017, and I came to Ocean City, Maryland. I had a parole violation, was told to do the Penn North recovery program, and I did do that. I was clean for about 90 days, got involved with a woman, things kind of messed up. I went to David's Loft, another transitional house, completed their intensive outpatient program. Again, was in a relationship, didn't complete their outpatient, and found myself homeless once again with being on the methadone program here in Baltimore City. I stopped taking my methadone. I ended up with a fentanyl problem. Had to go to Charlotte Hall, Maryland, to Walden Anchor. To get switched back over to maintenance, to the Suboxone maintenance program. I'm now at Turning Point. Things are so-so. I'm still homeless, but I'm trying to get my foot in the door so that I can get some housing, find myself a place to live, and get some stability once again in my life, if you want to call it that. Any other questions?
Yeah, and you said you're not from Baltimore. Where are you from?
Originally from Yonkers, New York. I went to school in Peekskill, New York, which is about 20 miles north of the Bronx, right on the Hudson River.
On the Hudson River.
Westchester County, New York, yes sir.
And when did you come to Baltimore?
I came to Baltimore in 2018, and I've been here since.
You've been here since?
2018.
So you've been homeless here in Baltimore for
Off and on now
8 months.
2018, except for the times that I was in the transitional houses and I was making progress with myself. Yes sir.
And you would say you're on parole?
Yes, I'm on parole until January 25th, 2022.
January 25th, 2022.
And I'll be finally off paper, and God will I be happy when that happens. It's been a long time.
So how has it been? Like, what are your experiences out? Like,
I've experienced everything from theft, from having my phone stolen, people, when you're sleeping, other homeless people taking your stuff, just all kinds of things out here. The fighting, I've been punched in the face randomly. There's been all kinds of craziness that's happened in the city that I've seen. I've seen 2 people die from fentanyl overdoses. I myself had an overdose about 1.5 years ago and almost died. And now I'm completely off the fentanyl. Like I said, I'm back on the Suboxone maintenance program, and I'm just trying to get ahead and make some steps here in the city to get myself some housing.
How was it like dealing with drug use? How did you just
the drug
manage
use?
it into
Well,
cycle?
addicts have addicts have behaviors that they need to change, and that's what I'm working on now, is changing behaviors, which I think is what it's all about. But at that particular time, my behaviors were such that I thought that I could go and do a $3 pill of fentanyl and not have to take my 50 milligrams of methadone over at the Murtec clinic down the road here by University of Maryland. And that's the behavior, and that's the sickness of it all. I would think that I could take care of a problem with a $3 pill, and that $3 pill became a $12 a day habit for several months until I went down to Charlotte Hall and took care of the problem.
Do you know anybody in Baltimore? Do you have any family?
I have no family in Baltimore. When my phone was stolen, I called home on Christmas Day up by Fulton Street, up by Penn North, and I was told my mother passed of Alzheimer's disease 5 days before Christmas. She was a school teacher in Ridgefield, Connecticut for 25 years, and I just have to be happy to know that she's in a better place, and that she'll eventually see that I clean my act up and become the man she wanted me to be.
So what were you doing before this? Did you go to school?
I went to school back in the 90s for sociology, believe it or not, and I was actually a criminal justice major when it all started. I burned some bridges with that regard and found myself a little bit shy of an associate's degree and partying just way too much, drinking during school, not taking it seriously. But again, we're talking back when I was 20, 21, 90, 91. I'm 51 years old now. I've spent 12 years in the prison system here in Maryland. And, I'm just trying to get my life back together again.
What are your thoughts on just like homelessness and just in the government?
I think that there's a lot of people here that want to be homeless. I personally don't want to be homeless. I'd like to get signed up for some kind of housing here. I think that there's plenty of places that will help here in Baltimore, but I think that there's a lot of catch-22s with a lot of these things as far as the priority partners and the insurance that's paying for these transitional houses and the things that they're supposed to supply for the amount of money that they're getting from the insurance companies. And that's my personal opinion.
How is it in Baltimore City?
Baltimore City, I think, has a big problem with homelessness. I think there's plenty of great institutions here that will help with this situation as far as if you're an addict. And I think that the main problem here is we need to separate addiction from mental illness. And I think that there's a lot of people out here that have mental illness and that they should be in a place getting mental health issues dealt with. Not necessarily out here on the street. And that's, again, my personal opinion.
Yeah, how's the panhandling? Are you able to make?
I make about $35 to $40 a day right now because windows are up and it's still cold. During springtime, I hope to get up to about $75, $80 a day. I usually stay out here about 7 to 8 hours a day. And next Wednesday, I'm hoping that St. Michael's has a tent for me, and I'll probably relocate right up that hill right there and set up a tent and continue panhandling here through the spring and the summer.
So, like, how is it? How do cops treat you?
Police have treated me fine, actually. Great thanks to them over here. They've actually bought me a couple Subway sandwiches. Always ask how I'm doing. Have no problems, no complaints with the police department, actually. And coming from me, who's a convicted felon, I think that means something.
Do you mainly stay in this area right here?
I stay in this area because this seems to be where more of the business people are that drive through in the morning, that have jobs and that have money that they can, that they kick out to me when I have to. I try to be very polite, very respectful, and leave it to their free will. If they want to give me $5, $1, $10, $20, that's completely up to them. And I think it's better that I do something along these lines than to find somebody with my background in your stores, boosting your products, making it more expensive for the taxpayers, robbing people and doing things that my criminal jacket would tell you that I've done in the past.
How is it like? So you've been here 8 months. So have you met other homeless people or befriended other homeless people?
I actually live up in Penn North at in a bandominium is what we call them. It runs off of propane gas. We've had the gas on now since November. There's never been a problem, but we have no lights, so I have to buy about $2 worth of candles every day to keep the light, so I can write and do some journaling and get my letters done and things of that sort.
I have a question. Do you happen to know a person by the name of Earl Ford?
Yes, I do know Earl.
You do know Earl Ford?
I know Earl.
So I don't know if you've known, but like Earl was my first interviewee for this series.
Wow.
And he was actually telling me he lives in a bando up in Penn North. So that's interesting.
I know exactly where his bando is. I know him. I know his room, and I know all about him.
Okay.
But, we know each other. We've spoken several times up in Penn North. But Earl does his panhandling outside of out in the county, and probably makes a little bit more money than I do. But good dude.
Yeah, very good dude. And meaning that you met all these old homeless people, have you found out that everybody has like similar stories to how they got homeless or how they got panhandling?
I think that most of all of this comes down to two things: mental health, bipolar illness, and addictions in general. Whether it be, addictions don't matter. It's not just necessarily drugs and alcohol. We're talking, it could be sex, gambling, whatever. Food, Overeaters Anonymous. I just think it has to do a lot with addictions and with mental health, and that's the main problem.
So what do you do just to stay positive? I know it can be a big mental struggle for you.
I just try to stay on my maintenance medications, which is Suboxone right now, and try to keep enough money in my pocket that I can start my day in a good mood with a cup of coffee for $1 up in Penn North, and pay the $2 to get the bus down here just to start my day and see my regular customers come through here.
Okay. So what do you have any words of advice, positive, a message for the world you want to give?
Don't do what I did. Don't do what I do. My main thing is I think that the kids really need, this newer generation really needs to know the evils of drug addiction, and be told, it's not so simple as Nancy Reagan in the 80s with the just say no. Obviously, it's retarded, but I think that we definitely need to focus on the youth and just keeping people aware of the evils of the drugs and the depression, the sadness, the pain, and all this that comes along with this whole lifestyle that we live here.
So what are your plans for the future? Where do you want to see yourself in years to come?
I need to take care of some legalities, as I explained to you before the interview, and then I see myself probably living here in Baltimore City and hopefully starting up a painting business at some point.
Oh, okay, how long you been painting?
I've been painting for quite some time, off and on my whole life. I've also been in the hotel business and worked there for Choice Hotels, Quality Inn and Suites up in Brattleboro, Vermont, Aberdeen, Maryland, down in Ocean City, Ocean Voyager on 33rd Street. Worked for Anthony Christ, Anthony's Wines and Liquors on 33rd. I've done all kinds of painting throughout Ocean City, and I hope to take my talents up here to Baltimore City eventually.
That's good, man. You're an artist, man.
Yes, yes.
You know. But yeah, once again, man, thank you for telling me your story, man.
Not a problem.
You know.
Not a problem. I do want to say just before the end of this, that the irony of this whole thing is my father, Michael Pylypczuk, came to this country from the Ukraine after the Second World War and was dropped off in Snow Hill, Maryland. Went to Maryland Institute College of Art in 1957 and graduated there, and then went on to Columbia where he met my mother, and hence being from New York. But thank you for your time.
Oh, you're welcome, man. You've been seen and you've been heard.
Thank you. Thank you. And thanks to all the people in Baltimore that have helped me and my cause here and put a few dollars in my pocket. Thank you all. I love you.
Yeah.